Okay. Alright, we're going to do an update. Haven't done one in a while. Getting ready to close up the turtle deck, so now's a good time to film what's been done. As you can see, we've got some snow here. Today's a warm day, 28 degrees. Alright. Let me just set this down. Alright. So, let's see. Here's the condition of the plane right now. I've been working over a month on this turtle deck, and so I'll show you what I've done and why I've done what I've done. Let me take some of this stuff out. This panel, this panel. Okay, so finished the tail. We're still working on the rudder. There's the rudder. Reusing the rudder. We were able to reuse the horizontal stab in the elevator. Just a little bit of repairs there. But the whole back of the plane had to be rebuilt. So let's see, where do we start? Let's start with the rudder. So this is a new rudder, or vertical stab, all built to look like a P-51B model. And I had some ideas on doing different things with the controls. So I basically did not follow the KR plans. The KR plans obviously have you have a piece of spruce that comes up at about a 45 degrees angle, comes through this panel here, and that was going to cause me some issues. So anyway, you can kind of see what I did here. It's got a new post in the back here, and the front post only goes up to here, but I have a few, I think I have I have 4 ribs in here. I also, for future use, I put a twisted pair of wires in a little spot here that run down the leading edge and come out right here and go to this terminal block. So if I ever wanted to change this out and make that an illuminated fin on the top for the anti-collision, I could do that. But anyway, that's for future use if I ever use it. It's all in there. Now you'll notice I did not put the antenna in the vertical stabilizer, and the reason I did that was when Mark Jones built the airplane, he put one of the foil tape antennas in, and it worked fine. The problem was every time I turned on the nav lights, I got noise in the radios. With those type of antennas, you have to keep all wiring and metal at least, I think it's 12 inches away. And as you can see, it's kind of tight in there. It's almost impossible to keep all wires and metal that far away from the antenna. So I had switched to this Piper Comanche antenna before I had my accident. It was mounted up here. It worked very well, so I'm sticking with that. Of course, using that kind of antenna meant I had to put in a ground plane. So this added a little bit of weight, but I needed an aluminum structure for the way I was building the turtle deck anyway, so just gonna take the weight penalty. Let's see. So let's talk about the controls. I made changes in the controls. There used to be a counterweight on here. Actually, this whole system has been rebuilt. Completely different from what Mark had done. And you can see I have a pivot point with 2 cables coming to it, and then a control rod that goes back to the elevator horn. The elevator horn used to be in the middle, and there used to be a hole drilled in the forward vertical spar, and I think I might even still have that. I can show it to you. Yeah, here's the original rudder or vertical fin, and I think you can probably see where that hole was drilled through the spar. So that, and of course that's where it broke. So I didn't want that hole in there. So my idea was to move the control horn over an inch or two, put a plate behind it to stiffen it, and then run the control rod down the side. Now this is going to be a cover, a removable cover, so now you'll be able to get in here and service all this stuff. When I bought the airplane, it was all enclosed. You couldn't get into it at all. So now everything's easily accessible, maintainable. So I like this setup much better. Let's see. So moving forward, well, let's just stay back here for a second. So the aircraft basically broke off right back here on the left side. The split in the longeron actually happened way up here. So the scarf joint for the new longeron is up here. So that's a standard 5/8 inch, and I used Douglas fir because that's what I had available. On the other side, it actually broke way back here, so that's the scarf joint is farther back. So you can see new plywood from here back. And then in addition to that, in order to have something to mount my turtle deck to, I have another piece of Douglas fir that's glued on top of the longeron, and that's 3/4 inches wide by like 1.5 inches tall, and that goes the length. So the thing's really built like a tank now. I probably didn't need anything that big, but I needed something to mount this fiberglass piece to give me a lip, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I have these fiberglass strips glued to the side that gives me this nice lip here for the new turtle deck to sit against while it's drying, and then I have just enough of a gap. You probably can't see it on this side, but I've got about an 1/8 inch gap that once the turtle deck is in place and glued down, when I come back and glass over it, I'll be bringing the glass over top of this, and then I'll finish this off with some body putty once it's all dried up. So now the turtle deck. Let me show you this. And let me set the camera down here. Take the antenna off. So the turtle deck, I didn't want to build it in place. I actually wanted to make a removable turtle deck, but that's a lot of work. Just like the windows I wanted to put in right here. Ton of work. Decided I just not gonna do it. But anyway, the turtle deck is actually a piece of 1/2 inch 4x8 sheet of foam, and I can get it here at Menards. It's this stuff, John's Manville, 1/2 inch. It's a kind of a whitish yellow foam. Does not react with the vinyl ester at all. And you can peel the foil off if you want. It's got kind of a gray color on the other side, but anyway, so what I did was I built the structure. This is all aluminum. This is a piece of aluminum that I bent in a Harbor Freight bender. That's my roll bar. I then put a piece of honeycomb glass on the front. This is the Dragonfly profile here. And then from front to back, I ran some of this angle, some of this aluminum angle. And this is just stuff you buy at Home Depot. It's not structural. It doesn't have to be aircraft quality. Covered it all in foam, shaped it. I have a kind of a stiffener here because I needed something to attach the back wall to, because I was expanding this hat rack all the way back. So that kind of holds everything up in place, gives you a place to put these little blocks for the screws to put that panel in. I put one in the back here too. I'll show you what it looks like underneath. Alright, so that's what we got underneath. And of course, changing this to a tail dragger, I had to build up the bottom of the fuselage in the back. That's now actually a 1/2-inch piece of red oak that starts right there where you see the plywood starts and goes all the way to the back. And it has plywood on both sides. So it's tied into the longerons on 3 sides. Plus the plywood ties it in on the sides. And it's stout. I don't know where this plane would ever break again, but it's not going to be back there. You'll notice new rudder cables installed, all new wiring. There's a bulkhead back there. I actually glued up a 3-ply frame for the leading edge of the vertical stab. You can see that. And I did a lot of gussets everywhere. I had a hole punched in the side of the plane right there, so I cleaned up the hole and put a patch on the inside here to just cover that up. So anyway, I'm finally done with all that today. I'm ready to put this on, this turtle deck on. The other thing I did was, let me turn this around. You'll see the rudder cable adjustments are along the side here, so I put those panels in so they had something to ride against. I didn't want to take any chance of them catching on any of those vertical members. Wiring's in for the anti-collision, original wires for the speed brake, and these wires here are for the wig-wag module that will get mounted right there. So I still have to run, I run a red collision light on the belly, and then one will be right in this area here. And the flash pattern is 3 flashes on the bottom and then 3 flashes on the top, and it just alternates. That's in one of my other videos. So anyway, let me set this camera down, and well, first let me show you the turtle deck. So this is that 1/2-inch sheet all cut to shape. It doesn't completely cover the turtle deck, but most of it. I will have to scab in a piece. Well, you'll see when I get it on there. To get this stuff to bend, I had to cut out these slices that are about 1/4 inch deep, and they're spaced 1 inch apart up at the top, and I think they're 1/2 inch apart at the bottom. So what that allows you to do is get this nice, really beautiful curve out of the thing. You can see it. And it just wraps really nicely around the frame that I built. The only downside is you get a little bit of kind of, I don't know what you call it, scalloping in between here. I can't really point to it and hold the camera at the same time, but I think you can probably see it. So the way I'm going to fix that is I'm going to lay the cloth on here and mark where those are from front to back. And then I'll lay up that glass first on a piece of plate glass that I have. So when I put it on here, the only part that won't have already be rigid will be from here to here. That will get glassed right on, to this panel. This part will already be made, so it will just bend around, and you won't see those. It's really hard to explain. I'll add some more to the video when I get to that part. Alright, so let's set this thing on here. I'll show you what it's going to look like. Alright, so that lip becomes important now because I can put this edge under that lip like that, and now that's held in place. Hold it up here. You can see that lip grabs this edge. I've got the center marked so I can line it up with the vertical stab. I've got a cutout here. The antenna will actually recess down a little bit, but I'll add to the base of the antenna. I'll have to build this up so that when the antenna gets set on here, it comes up level with the turtle deck. But here now you can kind of see that the ridges that are created by those cuts, but those will just disappear when I put the glass on there. And then this is the piece I'll have to scarf in. So anyway, it matches the curve perfectly. Of course, I stopped the cuts when the curve stopped. So that's kind of what I'm here doing today. I'm going to glue this on and get that setting up. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I think I did. Down in here, this whole area, all this area here is going to get filled with spray foam. So over here too, and on the other side. So then I'll come back with a saw, I'll cut that shape out, and then I'll glue carpet on there. So it's not structural. I tried, it's a compound curve. I couldn't get the plywood or the fiberglass to bend correctly, and I just finally decided, what am I going through all this work for? Nobody's going to see it. It's just going to have carpet over it, so just shoot the spray foam in there and be done with it. In a couple days you can come back at it with a saw and it'll be fine. Let's see, have I missed anything? The other thing I did, you'll notice that the hinges for the rudder are recessed. I have a very tight, you can watch it here, it kind of goes back inside of there. It does give a little bit of resistance on the edges here, but this does flex. So I'll have to see how that works out. One of the other things I'm trying to do with this airplane is make it faster. So of course the new engine's going to have a little bit more horsepower because I went 60 over on the Corvair cylinders. And it's a tail dragger now, so I've got a little bit less hanging out in the wind. Of course, you got the tail wheel back there, which I may fare some of that too. And these, you can see a little bit of damage here. I think when they picked up the plane in the cornfield, the strap must have done that. It's not near the spar. Spar's up here, so that's just cosmetic. That's got to be fixed. They also, you can see I got some, looks like, I don't know how that happened, but that's all rubbed off, so that's got to be fixed. But this fillet here is going to be made much larger. This is actually going to start back here and probably come way over like this and back in. It's one of the things that should help the aerodynamics on the landing gear. This will all be faired in. I got this piece of aluminum on here to protect my brake line that runs down the leading edge. I wanted to run it down the back, but the problem is the back of the landing gear ends up right at the spar, so there's nowhere to get it, kind of bury it where it wouldn't be a problem. It just seemed easier to run it down the front. So this little piece of aluminum here in these loops are just route wiring. So the gear's done. It's just finished work, you know. It's that last 10% that takes forever. And I still have to mount the motor, and I got a little bit of plumbing inside here to do for the ignition system over there, and I got pitot and static to run. But I also have the heel brakes to install. Now, I don't know if I've ever shown this. The heel brakes are actually from like I think it's a go-kart or something. So they'll be mounted sideways. I had to make this little piece. Also had to make this piece to guide the shaft, so it would go in and out nice and straight. It's got its own little reservoir, so there'll be two just brakes on the pilot sides, two reservoirs, and so that's got to get mounted. I made all new, I think I already showed this maybe in another video, but I made all new rudder pedals, larger, wider, and of course the controls have moved. My throttle and mixture and speed brake control here. Now I actually don't like what I did. I'm going to build a sheet metal piece that brings all of this out to about here. So I'm gonna, everything's coming out 2 inches. It just doesn't feel natural when I reach for it. It didn't feel good when I bought the plane. It was too far of a reach, and I've improved it a little bit, but not enough. So there's going to be some more modifications on that. But the panel itself is done. Let's see. I don't know if I know I got power. There we go. So, no, that's one of the other things I've done. I added this 7 amp hour backup battery. So, I forget how heavy this thing is. So I've actually got 2 master switches, the main bus and the emergency bus. Right now everything's being powered by the emergency bus. So if I have a problem, I can flip on the emergency bus, kill the main bus, and I've got enough power to run the coils and radios and stuff, I assume for at least 30 minutes, maybe even as much as an hour. So I still got more gauges. I got a cylinder head temp gauge to put in. I got a 6-position switch for that that's got to go in. I think those are going up here. And a couple other things. I still got a little bit of real estate down the side here that I can use. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. The Canopy is the biggest. As much work as this has been to get to this point, the biggest job is yet to come, and that's this Canopy. This is a Zenith 601 Canopy that I'm going to try and make work. I I got a price on a Dragonfly canopy. It was, I don't know, like $1,300 plus shipping. I'm really hoping I can get this thing on the plane. Put some, it's got a large curve right there in the middle. I got to get that curve out of it. So, you know, I don't know how this is going to go. I may end up breaking the thing, but, you know, I've got it. It's here. I got to give it a try. I'm not out anything because I can't use it for this airplane. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I throw it away. And then I go spend about $1,500 or more to get a Dragonfly canopy. So anyway, that's about it. When I'll add some more to this video once I get a little bit more done here. I still got some more work on the rudder to do. I got to get this installed, get it glassed. Maybe I'll just do that as another video. Maybe I'll just go ahead and finish this video up, and then I'll make another one when I'm finally to messing with this canopy. So anyway, hope you guys like the update, and keep posting on the KR Facebook page and the KRNet mail list. This kind of stuff is what we need to keep everybody motivated and get these planes built. So anyway, we'll see you later.